Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Devin Adams. I'm a Fortinet instructor here in Tempe, Arizona for Dynamic Worldwide Training Consultants, and this is going to be our our fifth video in the series, and this is just setting up an SD-WAN demo, and this was for one of my viewers who said that he was going to build one for a thesis project. I'm like, how cool is that? So we have done so far, got the FortiGate in here, we've added several interfaces, we built this router, right, that's acting as a pseudo WAN connection, so it can just pass traffic. And this is the real internet, so this is a NATed device right here. And in the last video, we set up these net term boxes, which will essentially allow us to trash the traffic, right? And that way, if we have an SD-WAN solution, we can actually forward traffic based off of our quality of our links. So let's go ahead and do that. So in this video, we're gonna just write some firewall SD-WAN rules after setting up some health checks, and then we'll just go to town. We'll see how it works. So let's just dive into it. So here we go. So let's log into our PC here. That's not a very good sign. Anyways, my PC shut down. So let me just zoom in here. All right. So let's go to the IP address of our FortiGate. All right. Admin. And log in real quickly. And while that's booting up, I'm just going to make sure that it is still working. Okay, good. All right, there we go. So if we come down here to our network and we go to SD-WAN, we should see all of our 4 connections, okay? And if we keep scrolling down, we'll see the utilization chart. And this thing is set to a load balancing algorithm of source and destination. So for every source, for every destination, it's going to pick whomever. All right. So, but if you notice here, there's no other rules defining like, hey, you know what? If this is if this is going out to VoIP traffic, make sure you always pick the one that has the least jitter. Or if this is, something that's mission critical, just make sure that you always pick the one that has the less latency, right? In order to do that, we have to form the rules. And before we can form the rules off of performance, we got to make the performance connectors. So here we're going to go to performance SLA, and we're going to create one just for the general internet. All right. Now, normally, if it's licensed and it's meaning the FortiGate's license, we'd have something like our internet service database of all of our services that are publicly facing. We have application control with signatures and things like that. We can't do too much with the free stuff, but we can at least do some things, okay? So just throwing that out there. There's still going to be some pretty limited opportunities here, but at least it will be enough to demo a proof of concept. All right, so we're going to say general internet health. All right, and we're just going to ping. And for the servers, I personally like to use the public DNS servers. And for the participants, it's going to be all 4 of our WAN connections. Okay. Now, normally we'd set an SLA, and an SLA says, hey, if you want to participate, you have to hit a certain amount of statistics, all right? But for here, instead, we'll just do a normal health check on these, okay? We're going to skip the SLAs for right now, if it lets us in 6.0. I can't remember off the top of my head. But pretty much each one of these interfaces independently are going to go out to both of these servers and ping it. And during those pings, it's going to measure it for, latency, jitter, and packet loss. All right. And what's also nice about it is that if this ever loses 5 packets, right, then it will go ahead and actually remove the link from the pool. And why that's important, guys, is because I think we've all suffered from something that was further down from our internet service provider. Our DMARC stayed up, but there was something further in the autonomous system of one of our providers that was trashed. And essentially, our interface never went down, therefore the link never went down, therefore the route was never pulled. this thing here will pull it. All right, and that's exactly what this update static route does for us. And it'll keep on trying it until it's restored. All right, so, but if you do the SLAs, you can force it out of the pool if, it doesn't hit a certain threshold. And you know what? Why don't we just do it? We're going to say, hey, you know what? If you want to participate, now you got to remember that we're in a lab environment that is nested between like 2 or 3 hypervisors here, right? We have our Windows machine, then we have GNS3 VM that's also doing it through the KVM. So I mean, latency is going to be high. So I'm going to actually turn off these two. But one thing that we can control very much so, okay, for our statistics is going to be packet loss. And we're going to say, hey, you know what? If you guys have 10% packet loss or less, you can participate. All right. If you go over that 10%, don't even be considered for internet connectivity. All right. So, and what's nice though is that once you have this set up for you, once you have all of this configured, guys, you can essentially play around with these rules until the cow comes home. All right, and if I go ahead and I hit F5 here to do a refresh, you should start seeing the statistics flow through. Okay, pretty darn cool, huh? So we have packet loss. I don't know what's going on with port 1. That's kind of crazy. Because these, they're just averaging out. It's all good. Because here's the thing though, guys, okay? The green that stays up is the health check. Okay, it's not going to take any of these interfaces out unless we put a rule in. So remember how I said if it had more than 10% packet loss, don't consider it. The SLAs, the thresholds there, are only relative to the rules. The green links here are saying if it's participating in if it's actually participating in routing. There we go. So now in newer versions of the FortiOS, right, 6.2, you actually get a nice graph of this too, of all 3 different quality measurements. So not too bad, huh? Well, let's go ahead and check out our SD-WAN rules. All right, so here we are. Let's hit create new. All right, we'll just say general internet QoS. And this is where it gets kind of cool. So you can do it for a particular subnet, right? Here we'll just say all, okay? But if you had like a set of servers that needed to be QoS'd over the other ones, you could do that. And then here we can say destination. Now, once again, the internet's a big place, so we can say all, but internet services, all right? Now, normally these things will have public IP addresses associated with them, and that gets updated with the FortiGate's service updates that pulls in every couple of hours. So, but I'm pretty sure with the free ones, they're not available. Same with the application control signatures. And this is where it gets kind of cool. So we can say things like, hey, if you detect this kind of streaming traffic, always pick the best quality. And this is where it truly becomes an SD-WAN solution. All right, so the abstraction layer is pretty far away from the end user, meaning like we don't have to do much to get some pretty powerful quality control going on. So for right now though, I'm just going to say all, okay, and I'm going to use the best quality. All right, and then for that I can say preferred members. Well, we're going to be using all of them. Okay, and it looks like it does require us. Does it require us to do an SLA? Yeah, it does. Normally, in the newer versions of 6.2, you don't have to pick one if you just wanted to do a best quality. They call it like manual now, which is kind of cool. So, all right. Then if we had minimum quality SLA, actually, you know what? I take that back. This thing right here, okay, is the health check that we did, and it does do best quality over them. The minimum quality says, hey, you have to see the first SLA agreement that we did, that the criteria had a certain amount of packet loss, right? Even though I don't know why it's saying 0. I thought we had more than that, but that's when we say if you go over a certain amount, don't let it participate. So, I'll hit OK. Input is not as expected. That is awesome. That sounds like a web browser issue. All right, I'm going to go right back here real quickly. Okay, that was right. I always record things not working too, guys. Hope you know. Let's try this again. We'll just say internet QoS source all, destination all, but this time have all members, and in order to participate, they have to meet that packet loss threshold. Yeah, just try it again if that ever happens, okay? And it is a top-down approach. So what that means is that if we have more specific traffic that we only want to use certain interfaces, you have to stack them. The granular, the specific stuff on top, the more general stuff at the bottom, okay? So with that all being said and done now, all right, our SD-WAN now is taking effect. So for example here, if we go ahead and go to the FortiView, okay, and we look at our all sessions, we haven't messed with any of the quality of the traffic, okay? But if we go to something like msn.com, which has a lot of traffic associated with it, we're going to see it using port 2. Now, why is it using port 2? Right? It's because it's actually using that, it is using the first interface that's good because it has one source IP address. That's the default behavior if it doesn't hit that implicit deny or that implicit rule at the bottom. So it's all coming from 10.0.1.10, right? On port 2 because that's what it found. All right. So let's see if we can't get it to go somewhere else. You might be able to change that by rule. I have not explored it that much. Okay, so it's still using port 2. That is fine. All right, but let's go ahead and trash port 2. Okay, so here we go. So port 2 is going to be this bad boy here. All right, so we're going to now introduce a 20% packet loss on it. Okay, and if we come back to our connection here, okay, and we hit refresh, and let's go somewhere else now. All right, let's go to, I don't know, Facebook. All right. Now, do you see what happened? It will automatically switch to a different port. Now, the ones that are using port 2 are the ones that have already been established, I bet. All right, because if we come down here to our SD-WAN, so let's go to network, and let's go to our SD-WAN performance SLAs. All right, we see that port 2 has a 30% packet loss. So it's no longer going to participate in that traffic, okay? But it's still up because it didn't lose connectivity, all right? So the only time it's going to lose connectivity is that if it actually loses pings between these two, all right? So it did not meet that threshold, right? So it instantly went to port 4. But here's the catch. To our end users, do they even know? Are they even aware that we're having problems? Like, not at all. It's constantly measuring, constantly evaluating, redoing the static routes for us. And that is why it's called an SD-WAN. It's software defined and it's an abstraction layer, right? Okay. Now watch what happens when I kill port 4. So if I come over here to my port 4, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, all right, and I kill it. Now this interface never goes down because this is supposed to be deep within our service provider's, autonomous system here. All right. And I come back here and I hit refresh. I mean, it's like it never happened. And these, remember port 2, are probably the ones that have already been established that are just kind of running in the background. All right. And it's not gonna purposely rip those out. But let's go somewhere else. Are you ready? Let's go to YouTube, right? Hit refresh on all sessions. See how it's automatically using port 3 now for the new connections. I mean, our end users won't even know that it's down. I mean, you got to admit, that's pretty darn cool, guys. All right? That's pretty darn cool. Okay? So, if we go over to our log files, though, and we go to our system events, I mean, you can go ahead. See right there, static route has been removed because of the probe went down, right? Did you see right here where it says service 1 will now be prioritized in sequence number 2, which is port 3, 4, which is port 1, then port 2, which was not meeting the SLA as being the absolute last one that's going to prioritize, right? I mean, come on, guys, look at that. You got the log files for it. You can see exactly what's happening. And if you can log it, you can plot it, right? You can run reports off of it. I mean, there's a daemon in the background that's doing all of these checks. Okay? You got to admit, that is stinking cool. Okay? And most importantly is, does our end user see anything? Well, not at all. They're just using the internet. All right? So, and then once again, if it's registered, if you go over to policy and objects in the Internet Service Database, these are usually filled with public IP addresses, thousands of them. In other words, it does the hard work of writing these routes for you so you can prioritize your traffic. That's kind of what I call the poor man's application control. I say poor man because it's still using layers 3 and 4. It's just updated every time you do your service updates, but you can do true blue application control. And that means, even if they're using like a proxy or if it's deep within a payload, it can still identify the traffic, right? And still make forwarding decisions based off of where it's going. So honestly, though, genre, that should be enough for you to be able to play around with, start writing some rules, start doing some proof of concepts, okay? Now, just remember that the SD-WAN is not an open standard. Different vendors will prioritize different features of it. It will mean different things to different marketing groups. I know that sounds bad, but it is what it is, right? I know that some of them, will tunnel back to some kind of like, as a service, and they'll do a lot of the deployments from there. A lot of the solutions with the branch offices will abstract, building VPN tunnels for you. The FortiGates can do that. It's just a little bit harder to see those things, right? Using the free VMs. But I think this is enough for you to get started. Now, if I have time, it might not be today. I might have to do it tomorrow. I'm teaching out of town for the next week or so. So, I won't be around. I've been kind of busy. But if I get around to it, we'll throw a branch office in here. And the biggest thing about having a branch office with the SD-WAN solution with the FortiGates is that you can pretty much, tell it to hit redundant VPN tunnels if the MPLS connection ever goes down. Or, if the true blue internet connection goes down at a branch office, then tunnel through the MPLS and break out at the headquarters and things like that. It just gets a little bit harder doing the complex stuff because you only get so many firewall policies on these free VMs. So hopefully, my friend, that was enough for you to at least get started with, to start playing with, and maybe being able to demo for your thesis. And like I said, if I have some time, I'll throw some more complexity in there. All right. But the best part about all of this, man, okay? I don't know if you can see it up here. We're hardly using any resources whatsoever to do this. All right. So you should be well within your limitations that you presented to me. Okay. So I'm almost sure of it. All right, my friend. So like I said, hopefully that's enough. This should be under 2 gigs utilization right there in the hypervisor. And yeah, man. And like I said, if I have the time, I'll throw in a branch office and we'll go from there. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed it. And if not, I am so sorry. I'll try better next time. All right. I'll see you later.